go ahead and get our obligations out of the way.
Sounds good.
1, 2, 3.
Fuck
Austin Hill. I mean, good Lord, bro. Welcome to the first official episode of the Rundown from Down Under. Obviously, we've done it as a segment on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast all season long. But
Buddy, that was last week.
What?
The first official standalone episode
That was
last
unofficial. It wasn't officially its own show yet.
Okay, I guess we talked about it slightly.
Yeah, we didn't know it was going to be its own thing. I don't think by then.
You didn't. I definitely knew it should be.
Anyway, yeah, this is the first official standalone show version of the Rundown from Down Under. Obviously, it will now become a weekly thing, as we put out in some quote unquote press releases earlier this week. So yeah, we're gonna obviously use
Very
this.
official. Very official.
Super official. Obviously, it's been the Rundown from Down Under. It's been everything about Shane Van Gisbergen, and we will include, obviously, in this episode, talk about Will Brown and Cam Waters and their races at Sonoma, making it the actual Rundown from Down Under. Our friend Cook Virus, so big supporter of the show, like to he called us out. He's like, you guys know that's more of like an Aussie term anyway. And I'm like, you know what, man? We got plans for this show.
Look, man, just be glad that like us as dumb Americans understand that Australia and New Zealand are two different countries instead of New Zealand being like a province of Australia.
Yeah,
Like,
I promise you. Yeah,
we got a leg up here.
It was in response to me calling Jesse Love out for calling Shane Van Gisbergen Australian. He's like, yeah, we got to catch the Australian. I'm like, yeah, good luck. But I do want to say we do have plans for this show that would fit more into the name of the show, I guess, if we're getting technical with it. Definitely not planned from the beginning, but you know what? Now that you said it,
it definitely wasn't planned from the beginning.
It's not planned from the beginning. We'll elaborate on that more. But obviously, started the show with our obligations because fuck Austin Hill.
Absolutely, fuck Austin Hill.
And Shane Van Gisbergen is 3 for 20 in NASCAR.
Which is a very impressive clip.
It's very impressive. He has 5 Cup starts, 1 truck start, 14 Xfinity starts, 3 wins. He just won back to back this past weekend at Sonoma, putting together one of the most impressive drives I've ever seen with a supposedly broken race car in more ways than one. So yeah, Seth, how was your Saturday watching the Giz do his thing?
Kind of funny. So if anybody doesn't know, and you probably won't, but watching a race in a group chat with Buddy or next to Buddy is kind of like babysitting in a way. He gets all worked up. He gets all worked up when anything happens, and I just looked at him and said, "Dude."
He said his car was broken.
But like
he said his car was broken.
He needed to be nerfed somehow.
I guess.
Like it wasn't fair before. So then the racing gods made it a little fair-ish, I guess. And then, Shane had to sweat it a little bit. And then guess what? He still won anyway because he's Shane Van Gisbergen, and that's what he does.
Well, hey, let's be clear. I told you guys last week I would not ever doubt Shane again. I did not doubt him this past weekend. I doubted his car. He completed the trifecta. Almost, if he could have just won stage 2, it would have been an absolute perfect weekend for Shane. He won practice by a lot. He qualified on the pole by a lot, and then obviously dominated the first stage. I think pretty sure he led every lap of the first stage.
Pretty sure.
And then, strategy does its thing in stage 2. He finishes second, and then he wins the race. But it wasn't without a little bit of contact. with Austin Hill,
A
which
decent amount of contact,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it was gonna be a race between Shane and Ty Gibbs. It looked though those guys had pulled away about 9 seconds on the field at one point. So it was pretty clear it was going to be
Yeah,
a
something
race
like that.
between those two. And then like it was a blessing from the gods. He gets us at least. That Ty Gibbs gets put back in the pack after a terrible pit stop and immediately crashes in the big one at Sonoma. And so that basically made it Shane's race to lose if his car wasn't broken, like I said. So to be all right, something was broken in the front end. At least that's what Shane reported. And then he would reported something about the vaults being down and all this mess. And I'm sorry, man. I got a little worried.
He has to be nerfed. I'm sorry. His power is too strong.
I told my mom. My mom was a big Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan. And I texted him. My mom's like, Shane's gonna fucking win again. And I was like, no, he's got a car's fucking broken. And I'm sitting there his last couple laps. I was like, I feel like you watch a Dale Jr. race. You're peeking behind a wall. You can't look at the screen too long or you get scared. That's how I felt, dude. I was Sonoma's laps are long and they get even longer when like someone you like is gonna win the race.
Yeah. A Sonoma lap was it felt like it was longer than an IndyCar Road America lap today. As I was watching the both of them simultaneously,
It
I was
just
like,
felt longer than a NASCAR rating. Like,
yeah, it did. Which doesn't make it like it's not that it's like a 2 mile course. It's not that long in the grand scheme of things. Like it doesn't really make any sense. And it's faster this year. It didn't
well,
feel a lot faster.
no, and I say I do want to give a call. We'll talk more about this on the actual podcast, but I feel like they did a
So
really
be
good
sure to
job with
tune in.
yeah. That's the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. It's going to come out after
If you
this.
subscribe, you'll see it. I
Exactly.
mean, there are other podcasts, but this one's okay too.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to subscribe, you can see it. It'll be out in 2 days.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Um but yeah, they did a great job on the repave. It again, SMI knocked it out of the park. They did a great job with Wilkesboro and Sonoma. I mean, the track was very racy. It didn't feel stuck like
Yeah.
which Xfinity is, the best. It's the best car NASCAR can produce, and they run it on Saturdays. But back to the actual race.
Yep.
Shane he restarted where? He fourth or fifth? There no, restarted eighth, got to fourth,
Yes.
and then
That's when the big one happened, right?
yes,
Yep.
yes, he got in the fourth, big one happened, and then he methodically worked his way through third to second, and then got to Austin Hill. There was a caution, and of course they're gonna play the replay from Coda where they got a little pissing
Dust up.
match there. Yeah. And Shane rightfully gives to Austin Hill what he gives to everybody else and gives him nice uh, hip check in the turn. What's that? Two
Two
and
or three or whatever the fuck they
two or
call it.
3A or whatever the fuck that's called.
I
Yeah,
know three's up the hill. It is too. There's so many corners. So hang on real quick. I don't know how it is overseas or whatever exactly. And then a lot of them have names and shit. But here in America, for some reason, we have a lot of corners that aren't corners and a lot of curved straights that aren't corners for some reason. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah. I,
Um, yeah, I
I
don't
tell
really
you,
get it.
I tell you what. Whether it was turn 1, 2, 3A or whatever name it was called, it was Shane's corner in Austin Hill. You learned that the hard way. Um, yeah, Shane. I mean, he sends it off through the dirt and hip checks him right out of the way, and that was the end of Austin Hill's day.
Yeah, I mean, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and there was a collective cheer from the entire NASCAR community. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to look at it, I don't think Shane was planning on not hitting him no matter what. I don't think.
yeah.
Just based off the way he handled it afterward, which I loved, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But Austin Hill didn't do himself any favors by, not giving him a car length or a car width
Yeah.
to the inside. So I'm going to chalk that up to, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm being a keyboard warrior. Um,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
yeah,
chalk it up to Austin Hill not really knowing how to drive, which is pretty typical.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, he just so many times in NASCAR, we see a driver like Austin Hill, or in the Cup Series, I think Joey Logano would be the best comparison, or at least vintage Joey Logano would be a good comparison, where they race like absolute tools, and a lot of times they don't have it given back to them. Like a lot of people are like, all right, I'm just not going to mess with that guy for whatever reason. And that's something that I think Shane isn't going to take at all. Like he's that was the big question when he came over here to America, was he going to adapt to this? It was a question for us Americans. I know not for any of you. If he was going to be able to adapt to the aggressive nature of NASCAR, especially on these road courses. And yeah, he's given back. But Austin Hill, he
Austin
could
Hill would never have the car in the same zip code as
no,
Shane Van
he will
Gisbergen.
not. But Austin Hill, he can't take it, I guess.
No, he can't. He
No.
clearly can't take it. I think I tweeted yesterday. This is not the Austin Hill show, but fuck it. Um, I think I tweeted yesterday. I said, Austin, mentioning that what we say after you do stupid shit irritates you, it tells a lot more. It tells us a lot more about you than it does us, my guy.
Yeah.
And then I said, also, you're like 30 years old. You need to grow the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, dude. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, like you said, this isn't the Austin Hill show, but we saw the deal at Charlotte where he wrecks Cole Custer under caution. And it's like, well, he was doing X, Y, and Z, and there's 75,000 cameras all around the racetrack. Granted, Fox is probably has them turned the opposite direction most of the time, but
Probably it's some ass in the grandstands, but
I mean, dude, yeah. But yeah, you never like he's he's delirious, he's delusional. And I mean that's it. He wants to be Dale Earnhardt, but he just but he just got his ass whooped by the probably one of the closest things to Dale Earnhardt we've seen.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say we've brought up a lot that the broadcast doesn't pick up on like Shane's tendencies. Um and that's still rings true because I don't think Ty Gibbs had as good of a car as maybe it looked as though he had, because I think Shane, especially during stage 1 where Ty would get close to him, I think Shane was just like, I'm just going to chill here. Like I don't need to. I don't need to pull away.
That's what I thought too, but didn't Shane say something about the 19 staying with him and he was kind of impressed by it, or he thought he was actually going to be able to compete with him? I feel like he said that in the
Really?
interview after the
Oh,
race.
I don't know.
I don't I don't know.
I was yeah,
But I mean, I definitely don't think Shane was I mean, I guess he was pushing somewhat because they were 9 seconds ahead of the field. I know he's
yeah,
way better than those guys, but 9 seconds is a lot over how long is a stage? 20 laps?
something
10
like that.
laps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot over that time frame. Even AJ Allmendinger struggled, and usually AJ will be there.
Wonder how he's
Usually I would
feeling right now.
expect AJ to be there. Yeah, AJ is struggling right now, which
Yeah.
tells me I don't know. Either the cars what would be really funny is if the cars really aren't that good right now. Well, they were definitely pretty good last week because all three of them ended up in the top
Yeah.
10 or out
Yeah.
the top 7. But I don't know, it's hard to tell because, like I said, yeah, they were really good. All 3 of them were really good last week, and then AJ and Shane were really good at Coda, and then as soon as it was time to go, Shane just, dropped his testicles and left. But, all right, hang on real quick. What are your do you have a favorite tweet from the aftermath of the race?
I have several favorite tweets from the
Okay.
aftermath of this race.
My favorite one is I don't remember who posted it, but I think I retweeted it. So it just said, "If Nana Nana Boo Boo was a fucking like incarnate or whatever." That was great. Like So if you yeah, obviously, I'm sure y'all talked or I'm sure y'all watched, but Shane obviously just kind of taunted
That
fucking
was the greatest.
Austin Hill after
That
the
was
race.
that was the greatest thing.
It
Like,
was awesome.
and you could tell, like, Shane normally gets out, like, last week, perfect example. He got into the one car early in the race, and that was like the first thing he said when he got out of the car is, "I apologize to the one car." He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. He wants to, race everybody with respect. You could tell how much he enjoys just the racing aspect of this. He got out of the car. He had zero remorse for hip checking Austin Hill. They asked him in the press conference, did was it fair what you did to him? Judging by what he did at Coda, and was that in your mind? He goes, 100%. Like, he didn't give a damn, dude. I love it. Um, yeah, I mean, he like, I initially thought when I saw him doing the burnout and Austin Hill there, I was like, "Oh, Austin Hill is," I keep doing that. It's because he's not that much better. Austin Hill, I thought Austin Hill drove up to Shane and was like, you know, obviously he flipped him the bird at one point, but, nope. Shane was like, "I'm just gonna hang out here, dude." Like, so that was awesome. It was a tribute to the king of NASCAR, Richard Petty, because he was awfully petty in that moment for sure. I loved every minute of it instead of NASCAR Twitter.
It was great. It was
Yeah,
really great.
yeah.
What's great to me is that, yeah, like you said, everyone just kind of has accepted that Austin Hill's a shithead for a long time. And then here comes Shane, and he's just like, no, I
He's
don't, ac-
he's
I don't accept this.
he's the hero we all deserve. Let's be real.
He's the one we needed and deserved.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I kind of, when they lined up for that last restart, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at the TV and just said, Shane, you better fucking him up.
I mean,
and
dude, yeah.
And I wasn't sure if he would. I wasn't sure if he would. I was like, "Oh, I bet he's gonna try and get him clean and do this, that, or the other." And then, nope, just fucking sent that
Well,
shit.
I think, because I was worried. I was like, watch, Shane's gonna race him clean, and Austin Hill's gonna go into the next corner and just clean him out because that's what Austin Hill does. And yeah, I mean,
I
I guess
honestly
I'm
bet,
sorry. Yeah,
that had to do with why he even did it. Like,
yeah,
obviously they have the history there or whatever. But if it wasn't, even if like, if say he has that history with, I don't know, let's just say Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer's
mhm,
fiery. He can get into situations like that. No one's gonna sit there and think as you go to just start a battle with Sam Mayer that he's just going to wreck you
yeah,
just because. And Austin Hill, it's like everybody knows, like, okay, yeah, dude's just gonna wreck you. Like, he doesn't care. No one's gonna step in. I know NASCAR gave him a bullshit puny fine or whatever for being an idiot, but like, it's not gonna change anything. So just fuck him up, dude. The only way he's gonna stop is if he knows, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get my shit rocked every time I do this.
yeah.
That's the only way it's gonna stop. Thank God Shane Van Gisbergen's here to help us out.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I saw a couple people like the like 3.5 Austin Hill fans,
They
like,
exist for some
yeah,
reason.
I don't understand. Um, say like, well, we'll go to an oval next week, and where will that 97 car be? Not too far off the fucking 21, let me tell you, because you're not that good on most weeks.
And he's not as bad as you're trying to make it sound like.
No, no,
And
he's
he's only
not,
run like what, 15 of these?
dude. Tell me
15,
why.
16, whatever.
Tell me why. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But I was looking at the points with Shane. Shane is now 10th in Xfinity points, which is impressive enough. But
Back to
if
back
you,
wins will do that.
yeah, yes. But if you place them, this is totally if ands and buts or candy and nuts, and we'll all have a merry off season or whatever the fuck the phrase is. But I do want to at least say this, and we've brought it up before. If you we'll give them a 20th place finish at Vegas.
Yeah,
And then,
sounds fair.
yeah, we'll give him his second back from Coda, and we'll give him a fifth at Talladega, where he ran out of gas. This dude's sitting like 6th or 7th in points. Like, what the hell? Like, who
It's
is this man?
I can't say I'm that surprised.
I mean, okay, so I also this was another tweet I saw yesterday. I swear we'll actually get into some racing and stop talking about Twitter here in a minute. But
All the
someone
fun
said
stuff happened on Twitter.
that's very true. Um, someone said everybody out here is just amazed at what Shane can do, and I'm just sitting here like, duh, it's Shane Van Gisbergen. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. I love the energy. But let's be real. The day we stop being like surprised or just, you know, the day these racing drivers cease to amaze us is the day we should all probably stop watching racing because like that's at least in a general sense, this is the way I look at it. Part of what makes racing fun is watching guys do things that you know you could never do yourself. And so when you see someone pull something off like this, yes, it's Shane and we expect him to do great things, but it should always make you step back and go, "Wow, that's that's something different."
I mean,
That's
you can see what someone does and be amazed that they did it, or amazed that they can do it, while also not being surprised that they did it because they've
yeah,
continued to do it over and over and over again.
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I don't know. Coming into this weekend, obviously Shane wins Portland last week, and he comes into this weekend, and I mean, we all knew he was going to be good. He tested at Sonoma, but I mean, dude, I thought last week he had put on an impressive performance. How quick he was, just off the bat, like that's the thing that amazes me. It's just how much he had. I thought I was impressed at Coda when he was like top 2 in practice. I was like, all right, hell yeah, that's great. But to put 3 tenths on the field and then to get out of the car and be like, yeah, I know what we need to do to be quicker. It's like, oh shit, we're all fucked. If you're anybody but the 9017. I think a lot of it, one can be attributed to the fact that he tested the wheel force car for Chevrolet. Got a ton of laps on Sonoma. He got a 50-minute practice this weekend, which he hasn't had but maybe once or twice all year, if that. I don't even know if he's had that. Um,
I don't think anywhere.
yeah. But yeah, it's just
Or did they get any for Daytona?
I'm thinking
Yeah, that might be
that's
it.
the only time. Um, so yeah, I mean, he was just it was his weekend.
See, I guess I'm not terribly surprised. Because even a guy who's maybe not he's not on quite on that level of a road racer as Kyle Larson is, came in, didn't run either of the Daytona road course races. Now he had run it before, but it's not like he was the only guy who'd ran it before. But had never run it in a cup car. Other guys had two recent examples on it, and he still damn near won the race. So, and he had no practice, no qualifying that weekend.
I don't
So
know,
I don't.
dude.
I think
Okay,
I just think I don't mean that in a
I get where you're getting
oh
at.
Kyle Larson kind of way. I just mean like a. I think these guys are just when you get to this level of driver, it's just like you run the sim. You're like, all right, we got it. No, maybe not.
That's a very loose comparison in my humble opinion. I
Yeah,
think Sonoma I thought would be a little bit different because yeah, this is only the second time the Xfinity Series has gone here, but most everybody in the sport has been to Sonoma a lot. Like it's not a new track. It's one of the few road courses. This and Watkins Glen are the few road courses that we go to where it's like, okay, the traditional like cup guys or traditional NASCAR guys have a better shot just because they have so many laps here. And that was something I thought maybe not even the drivers, but more like the teams would have a bigger notebook on would be, or at least something to go off of. I
yeah.
mean, I still thought Shane was gonna kick their nuts in, but maybe not quite this bad.
Honestly, when I heard he was running the wheel force car, I was like, "It's over. It's
I
already
mean, I
over."
no, when I heard that, yeah, when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, yeah, all
Yeah,
right, we
like,
got it."
it's over. Like, he was already going to win, but, like, it's done already. Like,
Yeah,
unless the car breaks, which it almost did, but it
yeah,
did not
yeah,
entirely break.
yeah, yeah.
Dude, if
Oh,
they could get one of these fucking calling cars to not break or something halfway through the race, I a lap, 2 laps, how big of a win can he get? Who knows? Where's the next road course? Oh, yeah, Chicago. Oh god.
yeah, yeah.
I'm curious what the betting odds are gonna be on Shane Van Gisbergen for either race.
Yeah, I kinda like there's gotta be a prop bet for him to sweep the weekend.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Um,
download DraftKings because FanDuel
yeah.
sucks.
I do wanna mention this before we get into the cup, portion. Someone tweeted out the loop data, and essentially what that is the data from the scoring loops from the entire race. Shane was not passed during a green flag run the entire race. No one passed him. He only passed people. Um, that's just another one of
Are you
those stats.
surprised?
Fuck you. Like, no, I just like I'm not so. I don't know, man. It's just like, damn, he's so fucking good.
He really is. I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and go through the top 10 for the Xfinity results. We're going to try to do this every week and go through the top 10 and then wherever Shane finishes. Obviously,
If
this
he's
weekend
outside the
was,
top 10.
yeah. Um, so starting off, Shane Van Gisbergen obviously won this weekend at Sonoma, finishing second for like the 4 billionth time in his career is
Poor
Sheldon
guy.
Creed. Another great road course driver, Sam Mayer, finishes third. Austin Green, and I think what was only his third Xfinity start, finishes fourth. Austin Hill rallies from the hip check heard around the world to finish fifth. Justin Allgaier finishes sixth. Chandler Smith in seventh with a badly damaged race car. He had a tweet that was interesting. The same person who posted the loop data for Shane, Chandler retweeted and said, "Look at all those cars I passed." I said, "Yeah, that'll happen when you wreck one of the fastest cars in the field like 3 times and have to drive back." Anyway, he finishes seventh. John Hunter Nemechek finishes eighth. Cole Custer ninth, and Parker Kligerman rounds out the top 10. And regular season points, Shane is 10th right now. And then as far as the playoff goes, he sits somewhere around third, fourth, fifth range. I don't know how it will reset, but he has 2 wins and he is tied for the most wins this year with Cole Custer and Chandler Smith. Cole Custer? No,
Cole Custer's a points leader.
Austin Hill and Chandler Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
But
I
Cole
mean
Custer
that's
also doesn't have a win, so I don't know where he'd stack up in the playoff standings right now.
yeah. Yeah. That'll be something to worry about come playoff time because
Exactly.
NASCAR's point system is really confusing.
I almost said we had a couple months to worry about that, but don't the Xfinity playoffs start like at the end of September?
Yeah, we got a while.
Yeah, so it's all weird. If you're new, which you probably are,
Yeah.
um, NASCAR's playoffs all end at the same time, but they do not start at the same time. The
Yeah.
Truck Series starts in like August.
Something like that. Yeah.
The Cup Series starts at, I was going to say the first weekend of September. That's not true
The
this year.
second weekend of
Second week of
September.
September now. And then the Xfinity Series starts at either the end of September or like the first weekend of October. It's
Yeah.
really weird. I mean, I understand why it happens like
Yeah.
that, but it's kind of obnoxious. But again, I get it. So
Yeah. And we'll go more in depth about that once playoff time comes and explaining everything how everything works. And
if you're really interested, we have a entire beginner's guide video that you can find by just going to the most popular video on the channel.
yeah. Yeah.
because it's actually, believe it or not a Shane Van Gisbergen video.
Yeah. You guys are real close, but you got a little ways to go to catch that one.
Yeah.
Um, but any closing thoughts about the Xfinity race?
Shane is him.
Yeah,
And
he is.
also nana
He
nana boo boo.
yeah. Yeah. Going into the cup race, obviously we had Supercars points leader Will Brown driving the 33 car for RCR, and Cam Waters driving the stage 60 car for RFK Racing. We'll start
Which
with
of
Cam.
course stands for Roush fucking Keselowski Racing if you're
Yeah.
new here.
Um, Cam Waters, we'll start off with him. Bit of a rough go at it this weekend. He didn't impress me too much, but I don't necessarily put that a whole lot on him. I don't
Yeah, I
that's
didn't notice him at all. I'll be
yeah, it's
completely honest.
that
Yeah.
stage 60 car. That's only the second time I think they've run that car.
They ran
And
it with what, David Reagan at Daytona,
yeah.
and then
Um and it didn't really yeah, our RFK just in general. Chris Buescher's really good at road courses.
yeah.
RFK in general is not terribly great. I think they're
Well,
still
Brad
working.
Keselowski in general is not.
Yeah, well, yeah. Um, yeah, so a bit of a rough go for him. Obviously, he's done a couple other, or at least one other NASCAR start. He raced at Martinsville, in a truck.
He ran Kansas in a truck too, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, a bit of a rough go. He had something break and he ended up finishing 35th. So it's kind of really not a fair assessment of where Cam was. But Will Brown finished 31st. Again, the car broke. Richard Childress, I guess, didn't want Will Brown to go out there and beat Pop Pop Special Boy. But had a very impressive weekend. He was what, third in practice, qualified 24th because of some mechanical issue, but still qualified 24th with a mechanical issue. I think he said he could only get 75% of the throttle out.
That's insane.
Yeah. And like I said, starts 24th. He got all the way up to the top 15 before all hell broke loose and then the car broke. So Will Brown better get another opportunity.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully.
mean,
I'm sure
because
he will.
yeah, I mean, because and again, the Sonoma's another thing. I would have been interested to see what Shane's first start would have been like if it was at like Sonoma or Watkins Glen.
Yeah. I think it would have probably been something similar to what Indy was.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I'm
I think so
thinking.
too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking probably a top 10, which I think Will would have gotten something around this too. And I think that only speaks to how good Will Brown is. Like I had never really heard of Will Brown before this weekend, and I took a liking to him just because I saw some of the stuff he posted on social media, and I watched all of his vlogs that he's posted from this weekend, and he
Yeah.
just seems like a cool fucking dude. I mean, all of these guys do, but
Yeah, I mean the little bit of um supercars content I have watched, so I knew who he was a little
mhm,
bit. Um I knew he was pretty good. Um it's just weird, like they get into a cup car and now my first thought is like, oh, they could win the race. And then I'm like, no, that shit only happens at one time in like a generation.
yeah,
Or I guess in 2 generations since it'd been 65 years or whatever it was. So that yeah, I don't it's I would love to have seen what Will Brown would have done otherwise. Like if it hadn't had
yeah,
they hadn't had so many problems because he was moving forward when
yeah,
that happened. I think
yeah.
he what was he? He was like 18th, wasn't he?
No, he had. I think he had. Maybe it was 18th. I thought he had gotten to the top 15. It was somewhere around that
Somewhere around there.
15th to 18th
Yeah.
range.
So he'd already moved up 8 to 10 spots, give or
Yeah,
take. Or no, you said 24. So a little less, but
yeah.
whatever. It's a hard track to pass on. Freshly repaved, the next gen car.
A lot of
Um,
stop start too, and that's
yeah,
one thing I wanted to point out too. I wanted to speak.
probably helped them gain spots though, to be fair.
Well, that's something I wanted to point out is we saw last week Shane struggle on restarts. But I noticed Will, especially, like, every restart, he would gain a spot or 2, or at least he'd hold station, which is tough because, you don't know how turn 1 at Sonoma, turn 1 and 2 at Sonoma is probably one of the hardest, places to restart, and for him to, net positive most times than not, I think that's something to be said.
Yeah, it's true. I do think last week with the restarts was kind of worst case scenario with Shane just because of the way that corner
Yeah,
arcs and that's where the restart zone is.
yeah.
But and he was lining up on the outside a lot, which is not going to have as much rubber laid down. Um, so I think it's a there there are reasons I think, but yeah, I mean it's still tough to come in and restart in the Cup Series just because of how
Yeah.
crazy it all is. And
They're
especially
different than
today. Today was
anything else, yeah,
Yeah, and today was crazy. Obviously, Will didn't get a chance, or no, he did get caught up in an accident before he had that problem.
yeah.
He didn't get a lot of what did he? Yeah, the 60 and the 33 did, right? The
Oh, and the
one
big
with
one? Yeah, Will
yeah,
got spun and Cam kinda, kissed Josh Berry.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he did have a chance. That was wait, no, that was after he had his problems, right?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't
I
remember.
think it was before. It had to yeah, I don't know.
It
There
whatever.
were so
There were
many
so
cautions.
many, yeah, there was so many incidents in
Yeah.
this race. It was hard to keep track, but um yeah, speaking well, no, we'll get to the rest of that later on the Big Motor Small Bike podcast, which
Yes.
you should definitely tune into whenever it comes out.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah. It was just interesting to me, like, or not interesting. It was cool for me because, like Shane, um, I took a liking to Will Brown. It was something. Obviously, I paid a little bit more attention to him because of you guys, and they've obviously got us. You guys have us on high alert for these supercar guys that are coming into NASCAR, and obviously Shane did that too. Um, but I don't know. I really took a liking to Will Brown. I think I like his personality. I like his attitude about everything, and he's fast as shit. So I really hope he comes back. Like maybe Watkins Glen or maybe, later on in the somewhere like get gets another shot at it
I'd
because
like to see him in an Xfinity race.
that
I think
too.
that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I mean put him at the Roval. Please put him
Yeah,
at the Roval. Um
we don't
yeah,
know what the schedule if the schedules line up at all, but
yeah,
um, it'd be cool either way. So
yeah. So, yeah, I would like to see more of Will Brown. I think it's funny, didn't it? Was Brody Kostecki leading the Supercars points last year?
ooh, maybe.
I feel like you guys correct us obviously down in the
Yeah,
comments. I feel like Brody was leading the Supercars points when he came in to run Indianapolis.
yeah. I don't really know. I know
Yeah.
Will is currently.
Yes.
Um,
That's yeah, that
I
was
do
my
know that.
point. I think
Yeah,
it's funny that they both got that obviously the Chevy tie-in there. But yeah, want to see Will again. Yeah, that's I'll leave it at that. I really want to see him again. Give him a fair shake.
yeah,
Because I think it would have been a quite impressive run there. I think for Cam too, it would have been impressive to see where he ended or interesting to see where he ended up had he got the full race in.
yeah. I'm just all this having three supercars guys here this week, and I'm counting Shane. Obviously, he's not currently a supercar guy, but that's who I'm counting. Um, I know Shane had issues with the current gen supercar. I'm guessing are these super widespread? Is everyone not a big fan of these things? Are we going to see like a
I
rash
think
of guys try and come over?
I feel like feel like I heard somebody say it or maybe Shane did that at least Cam I don't know about Cam, but at least Will it wasn't necessarily disdain for the new supercar. It was more of like he just wanted to come do it. He
Yeah.
just wants to race anything and everything.
Okay.
So
While I like getting the opportunity to watch these guys in America, and obviously at some point we're going to get super views, so I'm going to get to watch them in America at 1:30 in the morning, I guess. Fuck it, we ball. Um, but as cool as it is, I don't want to see like a whole bunch of top guys leave supercars because like
Yeah, no.
I don't necessarily want that.
'Cause then
Obviously,
it seems like a almost like a IRL, kart kinda deal from the where you
kinda.
see a lot of where you end up with, like, you know I love Buddy Hield, obviously, but, you know, Buddy Hield, maybe that's a bad example, but some of these guys that won championships in the IRL back in the day, they weren't necessarily the best open wheel guys, and I don't wanna see that happen to, like, supercars where all these guys come over to NASCAR because they don't like the car, which I don't think that's gonna happen. That's an extreme example, but yeah, I'd get what you mean.
Also, every one of them's not in the position of Shane where they, had 83 career wins or whatever,
Mhm.
and they didn't really have anything else to prove.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Um, that's really all we had for at least the racing portion of this. We're trying to still figure out kind of the formatting of how we want to do this, and we'd like you guys to comment below, tell us stuff you want to see during the show. Something we did have figured out is a video of the week. I think we're gonna do this every week, and this will be something fun because we want you guys to submit them to us, and we want it to be something that we probably haven't seen before. So obviously, keep it road supercars related for the most part is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And what kind of inspired this was a commenter by the name of Frankly88. He submitted a link to this video on our announcement video that this show was coming about. And it was a link to a video of the last 3 laps of the first race of the Sundown 250 in 2021, where Shane had a broken collarbone and 3 broken ribs. And when the video starts, Shane is in fourth. Cam Waters is up there. Win Cup is up there. I can't remember who was leading. Um,
I can't
either
either,
way,
no.
they don't win. Spoiler alert. You guys, obviously, you guys have probably seen all these things, but
Yeah.
it's like shock and awe for us because even though we know what Shane can do, it's still like echoes back to what I said a minute ago. It never ceases to amaze you, like how the level of competitor that Shane is. He's fourth here. Makes an incredible 3 wide, little 2 for 1 there. Looked like Win Cup was going to try to do the same thing to Waters and the other car that was in the shot, but he kind of backed out of it, and Shane was like, "Let me show you how it's done, man." I mean, obviously, Jamie Win Cup's pretty damn good himself, but yeah, scoots in there, gets to second, and then puts Cam Waters to school and drives off and gets the victory. That was Seth, you talk about the video. I'll kind of share my thoughts before we close this thing.
I mean, it looked very reminiscent to the way he drives a cup car when it's not broken. Just kind of he's got this innate sense like, okay, this move's probably not going to work for them. So I'm going to ride back here and then I can get a run on them and I won't have to work very hard for this pass because I already set him up. And he does that all the fucking time. And that's what this video was. He just said, "Oh, they're going to take care of it for me. Let me just wait on him to do that."
Work smarter, not harder.
You know, there's a saying in NASCAR. It's not really a saying, but people used to say that Dale Earnhardt could see the air. Shane can see the future. Shane's like, they're about to fuck up. And I'm just going to, my best option is to stay right here, right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those. It's like a sixth sense for him. I mean, it's one of those things. It's just like you, yeah. I don't know how to describe it other than a sixth sense because he literally he gets there and his racecraft. I feel like is a word that maybe gets overused because obviously racecraft is like the general like overview and description of just racing in general, but I think it can't be stated enough the amount of racecraft that Shane has and shows in this in this little clip and this video here. um and I don't know, man, it just from coming from the back too is what it said, 3 broken ribs. a broken collarbone. There was a lap, and we're comparing him to Dale Earnhardt a lot, and I feel like it's fitting, but
He's way better than Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt had a qualifying lap at Watkins Glen back in 1995, where he was badly hurt from a Talladega wreck a couple weeks before, and he wins the pole at Watkins Glen and gets out of the car and tells the media it hurts so good, and that's kind of like the vibe I got from this. Like, dude, like I'm going out there because I would imagine the vibe of the weekend was, all right, we'll see how Shane can do. He's hurt, I don't, he'll probably have an average day, ho hum, whatever. And nope, he was like, yeah, just when you thought. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was one of those videos. I showed a coworker of mine at work. I was like, dude, I know you know nothing about racing or who this guy is, but watch this shit. So yeah, that was a cool video. Thank you to Frankly88 for commenting that, because I had fun, a lot of fun watching that. And like we said, we wanted to kind of do this every week. We're, still working on the format of this show and how we want to do it, but we want to do a video of the week segment every week of something you guys think is cool. So make sure you comment down below something that something we, you guys think is awesome, and enlighten us, because eventually, spoiler alert, um as Shane gets more integrated into the NASCAR world, and kind of the I don't want to say the newness is wore off, but kind of once he becomes more gets into the Cup Series, he's gonna obviously be a week to week guy that we talk about. Obviously, he already is in Xfinity, but um we want to eventually morph this show more into a supercar show. We want to get Seth mentioned right there. He's going to look into getting Super View, and we want to dip our toe into that realm. And but obviously, we want to have you guys, you know, to help us, and to kind of be a third, almost a third host in this deal, and come along with that journey of us, kind of learning what supercars is all about. Obviously, Seth and I have a very limited knowledge. We have some knowledge. We both have watched a little bit of supercars and really enjoy what we have seen, and so we want to dip our toe into that area and hopefully become the dumb Americans that talk about supercars for all of you.
I think I think we'll be able to pick it up. It looks like NASCAR racing with more rules in a good way, and F1 pit stops. That's kind of what it looks like from the outset. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we'll pick it up. But we still want you guys on board with it
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, no, for sure. And like, kind of, if we say some dumb shit, we gotta you guys gotta you guys gotta kind of guide us in the right direction, right? I appreciate that. You guys have always been very, one, positive, two, supportive, and three, like, you find a way to you know let us know, hey, this is how this is, but in a nice way. You're not the keyboard warriors that Austin Hill talks about, but feel free to be.
God,
Fuck Austin Hill, dude.
Americans, if we got like a couple small details wrong, it would just be like, oh my God, like I can't believe you guys said that, blah, blah, blah. You guys are like, well, actually,
Yeah, yeah. We appreciate that. We appreciate you
we do.
guys. And that's why this show is now a thing, and we look forward to it. And our nation's flag just fucking dropped, and I guess that's time. I guess it's time to go, guys.
Yeah.
We'll, let me make sure it doesn't touch the ground. I think that's like a sin or something. I'll just I'll,
I
I'll cover cover
there you
myself
go.
there. This has been the rundown from Down Under. I'm Buddy Foley. That's Steph Dolby. We'll see you guys next week after where the fuck are we going? Iowa. But yeah, make sure you leave, anybody has a cool video out there, leave it down in the comments. Make sure you submit a question on our community tab for a question of the week on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast, and we'll see you next week.